Hunter, and I am the documentary chairman of the St. Lawrence County Information Technology Advisory Board, which is promoting this documentary. There is no doubt that the broadband internet and electronic media are essential and necessary tools for success in all aspects of modern life. However, these wonders have not been available to people who live in the rural parts of the U.S. This is known as the digital divide. Most urban people have access which promotes tremendous advantages over those that do not. These advantages include banking from home, electronic payment of bills, shopping, job hunting, access to news and information, and easy communication with families and friends. The build-out of the internet has lagged in rural areas like where I live in Clifton Fine, New York. But now broadband internet has finally been brought to the northern Adirondack region of New York. This program will demonstrate how 7 very rural communities were able to obtain high-speed broadband. We hope that by telling our story, we can inspire and assist our other rural communities still without broadband to obtain it, because we want to demonstrate how valuable high-speed broadband is to the life and economic success of a community. The townships of Clifton and Fine offer a unique opportunity to demonstrate the value of the introduction of high-speed broadband to a group of small, isolated rural communities. These communities are located inside the 6 million acre Adirondack Park, which covers most of northern New York. These communities are completely surrounded by Adirondack Park forest land, which isolates them from outside influences. Therefore, a change in the environment, in this case the installation of high-speed broadband, can offer an undiluted picture to evaluate the results. To emphasize the rural nature of these communities, for the 2010 census, the population of the township of Fine is 1,622 people, with a population density of 8.9 people per square mile. And the population of the township of Clifton is 751 people, with a population density of only 5 people per square mile. The hamlets of Fine, Oswegatchie, Star Lake, Newton Falls, Wanakena, Windfall, and Cranberry Lake are located along Route 3, which is the only highway through this area. The fact that the population is clustered in these hamlets makes it possible for the trunk line fiber to pass along Route 3 within a reasonable distance from the bulk of the population.
I'm Mark Hall. I'm the town supervisor of the town of Fine. 2 communities, Clifton and Fine, are 2 separate towns, but we very often work as one town. Being rural as we are, we certainly rely on each other to be able to move projects forward. We have the Clifton Fine Hospital, which is a major employer and healthcare provider in our town. We have a local high school with a little over 300 students in it. And we have one of the 5 colleges in St. Lawrence County, which is the SUNY ESF Ranger School in Wanakena. We have a large seasonal second homeowner population on our 2 biggest lakes. Cranberry Lake is one of the biggest lakes in the Adirondack Park, and then Star Lake is a much smaller lake. Hopefully with this broadband project we can get those people to stay here an extra day, an extra week, an extra month. Here we are on at the town beach in Cranberry Lake. If you look out over here, most of the land you see is state forest land, which is state owned. It's a tremendous natural resource for our area. The lake itself is the Oswegatchie River, which has been dammed up and created the lake. Here we are at the Newton Falls Paper Mill, one of the largest businesses in our area. The mill is currently closed. The mill operated for over 100 years, and its peak had over 600 employees. 100 jobs in this area is a game changer. One of the things I see with broadband in a facility like this is young professionals are needed for a business like this, and young professionals aren't interested when they don't have cell phone coverage and high-speed internet.
It's a significant public investment made by the Development Authority and the State of New York to provide broadband infrastructure that did not exist within the region. And it was very apparent excuse me, at the time, that the private sector was not going to make the necessary investments to ensure access to broadband. At the time, there was a great deal of discussion about the digital divide and the inability of rural communities to access high-speed telecommunications, the internet, and all of the benefits that accrue to that from economic development. So that rural communities were at a decided disadvantage to urban centers where the private investment was being made because there was a greater and quicker return on capital investment, simply due to population density, the ease of installation, as opposed to covering large geographical areas like, in this case, we're talking about St. Lawrence County particularly. So there were a group of business leaders here in the Watertown area who approached the Development Authority, and in my then capacity as state senator, approached me to begin deploying a telecommunications network throughout the region. The ultimate outcome of that was the Development Authority became the agency to provide that telecommunications backbone. The state of New York contributed significantly to that project.
Hi, my name is Phil Wagshall and I'm president of Slick Network Solutions, and we provide broadband fiber in rural areas in St. Lawrence County and Franklin County. We received $33 million in grants from the federal government to construct 800 miles of fiber in rural areas. The map basically shows where we're going, but one of the key locations that we're in is the towns of Fine and Clifton. In this area, there was no broadband available, and there was, though, Dank Middle Mile. Dank also received a grant to build fiber in this area, and so we build the last mile. We actually go and connect to people's homes, and Dank provides the middle mile, connecting Star Lake, Wanakina, Cranberry Lake, and Piercefield in the Route 3 corridor. The service we provide over the fiber optic cable is broadband service. Now, broadband service can be defined in several different ways, but primarily it's access to the internet at high speed. The fiber basically will provide broadband service, video service, and telephone service to the 6,000 homes that we pass in these two counties. These are really very rural areas, and we think that broadband is essential to the economic fabric of communities, especially in rural areas where people need to telecommute, or the communication is essential in these locations to bring people together and allow them to communicate with the rest of the world. We think of broadband much in the same way as electricity or public water was thought of, 80 or 90 years ago, where it's essential to the quality of life and economic development of these local communities.
Okay, I think we want to start back at the time when we first had our installation. It was very easily set up in our operation. We had always been on dial-up, and the operation that Slick did in the installation was very smooth, very easy. I was able to have the internet access on my point of sale systems as well as the back office system. And the advantages that it meant to Todd Supply was the fact that we had True Value made us a few years ago started to submit our orders over the internet. Now, I don't mean the actual doing the order took this much time, but just sending the order over the internet would take me in excess of an hour to an hour and a half. Now, that was just sending it, not actually going around the store and actually logging in the items that were needed. With the broadband now being available to our business, I can do that same operation in about 15 to 20 minutes.
I can tell you that it's going to be life-changing for many of us here in a rural, in this case, Wanakena. We have, many of us have satellite, which is better than dial-up, but doesn't in any way satisfy our needs. My wife and I run a business, Wanakena Woodworks. We also run a web page, the cranberrylake50.org. We upload pictures, files, communicate with customers and hikers all over the country. We find the availability of internet to be very difficult. We are so looking forward to the next 60 days, we're told, that we'll have broadband brought to our house, in which case we'll be able to expand our business and our opportunities for delivering merchandise. I think beyond that, though, the folks who live here, even part-time, are going to enjoy the opportunity to have internet. I can think of 5 or 6 families who would have stayed here longer this year. In other words, rather than 2 weeks or a month, they would have been here 3 months if in fact they could have run their business and their work from here, from home. So that's going to have an impact not only on current residents, but future residents of Wanakena. And it will bring us, not ahead of other areas, but we're hoping with the resources that we have here in the Adirondack Park and broadband, we'll be able to at least keep up with other areas of the country.
My husband and I operate a general store, a lodge and guide service. My husband's also a dealer for a log home company. So I can tell you that high-speed internet is making a huge impact on all of our businesses. We are delighted and excited to have this happen. We have people who stay at our lodge sometimes that are business people and would like to have the ability to do some of their work while they stay with us, so that makes that immensely more possible than it had been before.
This broadband is amazing. It really is. It's like I said, it's more power than most cities have. It opens up a tremendous amount of opportunity to the area, and now people can come here. There's been a lot of people in the restaurant that come up for the summer, but they can't stay because they have to work and there's no broadband. So now that that's here, that's opened up a lot.
Clifton Fine Hospital is probably one of the most rural hospitals in the state of New York, and because of that, high-speed internet is so crucial to the operations of the hospital. There are some things that we just would not be able to do without high-speed internet, such as telemedicine and teleradiology, where X-ray images are sent to radiologists really anywhere in the country, and they interpret the results, and then the reports are sent back electronically back to the hospital. That would not be possible without a high-speed broadband or internet connections. Other things that we do is lab results for tests that we don't do very often, that are sent to a reference lab where the testing is done. The reports are sent back to us electronically and fed directly into the hospital's computer system. The hospital recently implemented an electronic medical record, and all of these results are funneled into the electronic patient record through the internet. Without high-speed internet, we would not be able to use our computer system to its full potential. Our physicians are able to access patient records over the internet from home, and so they can review charts, look up lab tests, and give orders to the nurses. So it really helps provide better patient care with having a high-speed internet connection.
I think the largest impact of this investment is on our children. When I came up here, I took a job for a local company, and we had satellite service. And the children in the hamlet of Newton Falls were so disadvantaged because they had no access to online courses. They couldn't take remote teaching. And in fact, one of the families asked if their children could come into the company at nighttime to take a college course. And that to me was a very profound statement, that we were so disadvantaged, our children were being limited in terms of options for education and bettering themselves. I think that's probably the most profound opportunity, that our children will have a chance to compete with everybody else in terms of access to the net, education, and learning.
Broadband changed the way that teachers can teach. It enabled them to stream video, it enabled them to go onto the internet and get resources that they hadn't previously been able to access. And it enabled us to institute a district-wide email, which we still use to this day. We know that we're so isolated that our students need all the skills that they can get technologically when they go out in the world. We're happy to share the positive effects of having broadband come to the community, because even though it's been in our school for 10 years, it certainly wasn't in our students.
I think the students knew what they were missing more than the teachers did, because as soon as we opened the Wi-Fi, we had students that brought their car into the parking lot, plugged into the wall with a TV in the back seat, and they were playing Call of Duty on a Saturday morning. No, it was a snow day. So the school already had the high speed at the time I got here. One of my focuses when I got here was to try and get the community to use it more. I know a lot of the teachers were scared at giving Wi-Fi to the kids at first. The fact that we didn't have any cell phone coverage here helped, because the students didn't have any bad habits already. I know I've seen a lot of traffic go through, internet traffic, and a lot of our students are using iPods. And I believe that that is a good alternative for families that may not be able to afford a home computer, but they can afford a couple $100s for an iPod. And I know that students use them all the time. And from the teachers that I've talked to that have talked about it, they really enjoy being able to bring their own laptops in from home. Now we're looking at having laptops for the teachers to replace desktop computers, so they can bring their work home with them and back a lot easier. And then we're going to start a one-to-one laptop program with the high school students. So the students will be taking laptops, notebooks, netbooks, something home from the school, and then they'll keep it with them all the time. It'll be their machine for 4 years. And we think that that'll help a lot with continuity. We think that it'll help the students learn what it's like if you were to live in a city, or corporate job. That's what you're going to have, is all the time on your person.